Bruce Willis was born on March 19, 1955, in Idar-Oberstein, West Germany, where his father was stationed with the U.S. Army. When he was a child, his family moved back to New Jersey, where he grew up in a working-class environment. Bruce discovered acting not through ambition for fame, but as a solution to his childhood stutter. Performing in school plays helped him find his voice, confidence, and ease in front of others. As he continued acting in local theater and later at Montclair State University, he developed a natural charisma, a grounded presence, and an ability to connect emotionally with audiences. His early jobs included working as a security guard, bartender, and private investigator before his breakthrough on television. Those experiences shaped the tough, everyman persona that defined much of his career. His major rise to fame began in the mid-1980s with the television series Moonlighting, where he starred opposite Sybil Shepherd. His quick timing, humor, and disarming charm made him stand out in a way few actors managed. But his move into action cinema changed his career permanently. In 1988, Bruce starred in Die Hard as John McClane, a character who redefined the genre. Unlike the invincible action heroes of the time, McClane was vulnerable, exhausted, sarcastic, and improvisational. Audiences connected with him instantly. The success of the film launched Bruce into global stardom and established him as one of Hollywood's most influential and bankable leading men. Through the 1990s and 2000s, Bruce built a filmography that balanced action, drama, and character-driven storytelling. He took risks, including roles in Pulp Fiction, The Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, and 12 Monkeys. His career was marked not just by box office success, but by versatility. He could play intense, dark, humorous, emotional, or restrained characters with equal conviction. Directors and co-stars often described him as generous on set, collaborative, and focused. He valued professionalism and reliability, traits that made him respected behind the scenes. At home, Bruce developed a reputation grounded not in celebrity, but in commitment to family. His first marriage to Demi Moore lasted from 1987 to 2000. They had 3 daughters, Ruma, Scout, and Tallulah. Even after their marriage ended, they worked intentionally to remain close, choosing cooperation over conflict. Over the years, their blended family became an example of co-parenting done with dignity, maturity, and loyalty. In 2009, Bruce married Emma Hemming, with whom he shares 2 younger daughters, Mabel and Evelyn. Emma became not only his partner, but a stabilizing presence in his personal life. In recent years, Bruce stepped back from acting after his family publicly shared that he was experiencing health challenges affecting communication and cognitive abilities. This announcement clarified the sudden shift in the roles he had taken near the end of his career, many of which had shorter shooting schedules or reduced dialogue. The family's decision to speak openly was made to prevent rumors, protect his privacy, and ensure he was treated with dignity. They emphasized unity, love, and respect, presenting one message together rather than fragmented or speculative reports. The statement also revealed the importance of maintaining supportive environments, structured routines, and familiar emotional connections in daily life. The people closest to Bruce reorganized their lives around him. Emma became the central coordinator of day-to-day care, ensuring he was supported physically and emotionally. Demi remained actively present, showing how their shared history had grown into a strong foundation of trust. Their daughters each played different roles, offering companionship, music, stories, and steady emotional presence. Though their relationships unfolded quietly and privately, it was clear that the family approached the situation with patience and unity rather than fear. The family's blended structure became one of their greatest strengths. Years of openness, shared holidays, group photos, and joint celebrations created familiarity instead of distance. Bruce's home environment, communication style, and emotional world now rely on consistency, calm reassurance, and supportive daily rhythms. His family is close, physically and emotionally, choosing to spend more time together, not out of obligation, but out of recognition that time with the people you love becomes more meaningful when life shifts. These recent years are defined not by public appearances or professional milestones, but by small, quiet moments, shared meals, slow walks, familiar music, children's laughter, and comforting routines. The family made intentional choices, fewer cameras, fewer announcements, and fewer public details. They are focused on presence rather than performance, shielding Bruce from overwhelming environments or unnecessary stress. This period is not about endings, but about holding on to the things that remain real: touch, memory, voice, closeness, and the instinctive bond of family. The man who spent decades as a symbol of strength, resilience, and defiant courage on screen is surrounded now by the people who love him most, offering him the same strength back in return. When the public conversation faded and the headlines quieted, the real work of protecting Bruce Willis's daily life began. The family understood that emotional stability mattered just as much as physical care. Their focus shifted toward consistency, comfort, and presence, the small routines that build a sense of safety. These adjustments were gradual, thoughtful, and aimed at preserving dignity above all else. The home environment became calmer, schedules became simpler, and familiar voices and familiar faces became central to each day. Emma Hemming Willis, Bruce's wife, became the key organizer of daily care and rhythm. She managed the household structure with clarity, calmness, and intention. Her role involved coordinating support while also maintaining a peaceful emotional atmosphere. She prioritized slowness over urgency and home life over outside demands. Every decision was based on one guiding principle: protect Bruce's peace. Emma spoke publicly only when necessary, not to draw attention, but to correct false stories and defend Bruce from invasive speculation. Her tone remained consistent, respectful, private, steady. Demi Moore, Bruce's former spouse, became a stabilizing partner in the family circle. Their blended family structure, built over decades of cooperation rather than conflict, provided emotional continuity. This was not a sudden reunion for appearances. It was a continuation of a relationship that had remained strong long after their marriage ended. Demi's presence brought familiarity and shared history, which mattered deeply. The family had practiced unity long before now. They simply leaned on it more. She visited often, not as a guest, but as part of the foundation of his life. For Bruce's daughters, the transition required sensitivity and emotional awareness. Each of them found a different way to show love while respecting the changing communication landscape. Rama offered grounded presence and warmth. Scout expressed herself through music and gentle conversation. Tallulah often shared memories, photos, and old stories to stay connected to the father she has always adored. The younger daughters, Mabel and Evelyn, gave something irreplaceable: lightness, the natural joy of children, the instinct to live in the moment without fear. Their laughter, drawings, and simple affection brought energy into days that might otherwise feel heavy. The family did not frame these moments as tragic. They framed them as meaningful. They made space for celebration, inside jokes, and shared rituals. Things were not rushed. Conversations didn't need to be perfect. Presence mattered more than dialogue. Silence was not uncomfortable. It was understood. Daily life centered around repetition. Familiar meals, familiar music, familiar routines. Rewatching favorite films became a quiet act of connection. Sometimes a family would sit together while one of Bruce's earlier movies played softly in the background. There was no analysis, no commentary, just recognition of the man who had shaped their lives, of the work that had touched millions, and of the memories that remain accessible and alive. Phone cameras were used sparingly, not to document loss, but to preserve what feels whole. Photos taken now focus on hands held, smiles exchanged, quiet expressions, sunlight through windows, and peaceful moments shared at the kitchen table. These are memories intended for the family, not the world. Outside attention never disappeared, but the family learned to manage it. They shared occasional updates, not to narrate decline, but to guide respectful understanding. They corrected misinformation quickly, especially when headlines attempted to exaggerate or sensationalize. Their clarity discouraged speculation and supported empathy, both from the public and from fellow families facing similar experiences. Many people recognized their own pain reflected in the situation, and the Willis family's steady, grounded communication provided reassurance that dignity can be protected even in vulnerable times. Support came from colleagues and longtime friends quietly, without publicity. The film community responded with kindness rather than commentary. There were no dramatic statements, no stage tributes, just gentle acknowledgments of respect for Bruce's work, character, and influence. Co-stars spoke about his generosity, humor, and professionalism, describing him not as an icon first, but as a person they valued. Crew members remembered small acts of kindness on set, the jokes, the encouragement, the quiet leadership, memories shared privately, with sincerity. As the months passed, the family learned to accept that this chapter required a new kind of strength. It was not dramatic strength, not heroic strength, but patient strength. Strength that shows up every day, quietly. Strength that holds space for sadness while still choosing love. There are no countdowns, no final announcements, no dramatics. The family is not waiting for an ending. They are living the days as they come, fully, attentively, respectfully. This is not a story of loss. It is a story of holding on to the parts of Bruce that are permanent. His warmth, his humor, his presence, his history, and the family he built with intention and love. As time moved forward, the Willis family shifted their focus from managing change to preserving meaning. They understood that legacy is not defined by how a life ends, but by what remains in the hearts of those who continue onward. Bruce's legacy is not only in the films he made, the characters he portrayed, or the global influence he carried. His true legacy lives in the small details that shaped his relationships, the way he laughed, the way he encouraged others, the way he led with warmth rather than ego. The family began to center their days around intentional togetherness. They prioritized shared meals where conversation didn't need to be structured. They spent afternoons in the garden, on the porch, or simply sitting close in the living room, sometimes speaking, sometimes just being present with each other. These were not dramatic scenes. They were quiet, steady, human moments, the kind that make a life feel whole. One of the most meaningful parts of this time has been memory sharing. Family members often talk about events from the past, recalling funny stories from sets, holidays, family vacations, and simple daily routines from years ago. These memories act as anchors, reminding everyone of who Bruce has been to them, not just who he is now. They repeat familiar phrases and family jokes, understanding that recognition can come in the tone, the rhythm, the emotion, even when words may be fewer. Music has played a central role in their home. Songs that Bruce loved throughout his life, the kind that carry emotional memory even when language feels distant. Sometimes someone plays guitar softly. Sometimes they put on old jazz records or favorite rock tracks. Music requires no explanation, no dialogue, no effort. It fills the room without demanding anything of anyone, allowing connection to exist naturally. The family has also worked quietly behind the scenes to shape the way Bruce's legacy will be remembered publicly. They have made decisions about his body of work with care, ensuring his contributions are respected and curated thoughtfully. Old interviews, behind-the-scenes footage, and personal stories have given depth to the public's understanding of who he was off-screen, not just a hero, but the husband, father, and friend who carried humor and kindness into every room he entered. Colleagues who worked with Bruce over the decades have continued to express their admiration privately, describing him as a person who treated everyone with equal respect, from directors to camera operators to extras. That reputation matters deeply to the family. It reflects a character they knew, not the image others projected. Bruce was the kind of person who remembered names, who checked on people, who made others feel valued without needing attention for doing so. The love surrounding him now is a continuation of the love he gave freely throughout his life. In these quiet months and years, the family has also learned to allow grief and gratitude to coexist. They have accepted that it is possible to feel sadness for what has changed and immense thankfulness for what remains. They do not deny reality, and they do not surrender to despair. Instead, they choose to be present, to sit with each moment fully, without rushing forward or backward. This presence is their way of honoring Bruce's journey. They have made a conscious effort to avoid treating this time as a countdown. They are not measuring days. They are living them. There is no focus on what may come later, only on the time that is here now, the connections that continue, and the love that deepens even in difficulty. What the outside world sees as heartbreaking final moments is, within the walls of their home, something different. It is a period of gentle holding, a period of shared strength, a period where the family moves slowly, speaks softly, and remains physically close. A period of love expressed not through grand gestures, but through presence. The family does not claim to be extraordinary. They are simply doing what love asks people to do, to show up, to be patient, to listen, to comfort, to remain. This is Bruce Willis's life now. A quiet home, a devoted family, a legacy already secure, and moments that are cherished for their simplicity. Not every story ends in a dramatic conclusion. Some stories shift into a different rhythm. Slower, quieter, but still full of meaning. The man who once ran barefoot across broken glass to save strangers on screen is now held with care by the people who love him most. And in this chapter, love is the hero.